methods. A 1 hour podcast, for example, uploaded to YouTube at 1080p video frame rate. How's it, folks? And welcome back to another edition of Mashup Vix. Yes, agreed. I have not been making a video in a long time now. I have been venturing into something new, an interesting way of communicating and reaching out through podcasting. Yes, I have found that podcasting opens up a different type of platform in which one can communicate with friends and the public on different types of topics that interest us in many different ways. Myself and my wife Rachel, I've recently started a podcast called Couples Debate, where we talk about various topics from relationships to the highs and lows in our day-to-day activities. And of course, I like to talk about some political views of the circus mainstream society we experience daily in South Africa. My wife Rachel is not always keen on talking about politics since it's not been her field of expertise. Bless you, Rachel. That's why one week I will choose a topic and the following week Rachel will choose a topic of her choice. Podcasting for me is a lot of fun. There is not a lot of editing as you would do in making videos, and you get to be more yourself. Not to say us YouTubers are not themselves, we are of course, but in order to gain an audience, a YouTuber needs to work hard in making the quality of his or her video shine out from the rest. Otherwise you won't get an audience. In other words, your video needs to wow the person watching on the other side. There are two ways in how to record a podcast. The one way is where you can record your podcast just the same as you would in a radio station, and then you can post your podcast on various social media platforms. I use an app called Anchor FM, and what's cool about this app, it records your podcast online and records with low noise and cuts out any unwanted noise you would normally remove by using an edit program such as Audacity. Anchor FM will also post your podcast on the following podcast sites such as Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Cast, and a few others, so that your podcast can get more exposure and reach out to the desired audience of choice. The second way to record a podcast is via video, but your video cannot be posted on the same podcast sites as I just mentioned above. Your video will be uploaded to sites like YouTube, such as this one, YouTube, Facebook, and a few others. Both methods are effective, but truly speaking, videos would be the most effective way recording the podcast. But there is a difference between the two methods. A 1 hour podcast, for example, uploaded to YouTube at 1080p video frame rate would take up more data than recording a podcast without video. Not everyone has unlimited internet at home and would also like to have the opportunity to listen in on what people debate and discuss in podcasts. A video downloaded podcast could be anything from 1 gig to 3 gigs. While a podcast without video could be anything from 80 megabytes to 200 megabytes. Again, there is different ways of downloading your favorite podcast and watch and listen later at a later stage. Many of us will search on an area that has a Wi-Fi free hotspot, to download. But a 1 gig video can take a long time to download, and time is a luxury we don't always have. So we want a quick podcast. You want a quick podcast without video would be the way to go, because you can play the podcast while driving, for example, to work, while sitting in peak traffic. These are just a few examples on how I see podcast can be recorded, but most importantly, you need to ask yourself the question, why are you doing the podcast? Is it for entertainment purposes? Is it for informing the public of political issues? Or is it for educational purposes? The next question you need to ask yourself, can you make a business from making a podcast and profit from it? The answer is yes, you can. I'm even sure one could make a career from podcasting. To me, at this point in time, I'm making podcast for the entertainment of it and to inform people of what happens in and around the world, not just South Africa, but the world we live in. I have been a YouTuber for a year now, and I have openly admitted before in previous videos my content is not good enough. But should that stop me? No, of course not. I should keep on. I should keep on making videos, and one day I will get my lucky break. The secret is in not giving up. Many YouTubers have said this, and work harder. You got to work harder for your videos. For now, I will upload my podcast on this channel and continue to look for better content for my channel. At a later stage, I would like to add video to my podcast, but for that I need better equipment which can record in low light situations. This is low light, my camera can't really record. Please click on the links below to tune into myself and Rachel's podcast, or you can find the podcast on this channel right here. My latest podcast was recorded with an old friend of mine who has recently moved to New Zealand. So the topic was about why are South Africans leaving? Why are they leaving South Africa? And it was fun. I enjoyed it. It was an hour-long, well, I won't say debate, an hour-long discussion. So yes, I know the podcast says couples debate, but it doesn't mean that I have to debate. We do discussions too. So please, if you are interested, click on the link. I'm not going to force you. There will be some of you that will probably think that my content's boring, and there will be some of you that will say, you know what, let's give it a listen. Maybe this content is good. But I will keep on. I've got a Facebook page also open. I haven't got much people on that Facebook page yet, but I'm sure within time, like I just said, not to give up, and I won't give up. Within time, I will get people on that Facebook page, and they can obviously give me ideas and topics that me and Rachel can talk about. So for now, I'm doing podcasts, and a lot of people in America, podcasting is huge. I know in South Africa, Ronaldo Gous, he doesn't really do podcasting, but he likes to do one-on-one video chats on Hangouts, where he has a video chat with people. And there's this one podcast on Cliff Central that I like to listen to. They call themselves the Renegade Report. Also very openly, and they swear on this podcast. But the stuff that they talk about on the podcast is interesting, and they talk more about the political side of political spectrum in South Africa. That's where I drifted. I said the 1 week I want to talk about politics, and the 1 week me and Rachel are going to talk about something of her choice, like relationship status and stuff like it. Okay, so thanks for tuning in, and remember to keep it real.
Take it easy, and what's the phrase word that they use in New Zealand? What's the like here in South Africa?
Ciao, goodbye.
Ciao, goodbye. What's the phrase word there? What do they use? What's the slang there in New Zealand?
Sweet ass.
Sweet ass. What the Sweet ass.
That is when you greet somebody. When you greet somebody, majority of the time at work, when I greet the Kiwis, they tell me, "Sweet ass, bro."
Sweet ass, bro.
It sounds weird, but it's actually not ass. Like your bum. It's like ass.
Yes.
Like sweet ass.
Sweet
I don't know what the hell, but anyway.
You need the accent.
That's what they call. Yes, you need the accent, and then even if you have the accent, it still sounds weird because it's sounding like they're saying to you, "Have a sweet ass."
Okay, dude. All right, my man. Thank you, my man. Take it
All
easy.
right.
Take it easy, eh?
All right.
Ciao, ciao.
You too, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.